Happy Monday! Hello, everyone. I am Amari Lee, your life coach, whether you know it or not. And today is the first day of the week, and it is my job to make Monday your favorite day of the week. We have been discussing the contagious um, act of positivity and how effective it is in your life and how it can become this positive contagion that just goes and it spreads around and it attaches to itself to other people and how it can change lives. And so today we have a special guest with us today. Her name is Ashlee Frazier. She'll be joining us shortly in the program. And so make sure that you come back, go get you some coffee, talk to a girlfriend, talk to a fella, and let them know that we are going live. And I will see you back in 2 minutes. Don't forget that we will also be having a new feature. So just keep your ears open and your eyes pierced onto the screen because we will be doing something a little bit different today. All right, awesome. See you guys soon. Hello, and happy Monday. All righty, so we are in our first day of the week. I am super duper excited. As you know, we have been discussing positivity, and I'm still in that vibe, guys. I'm still flowing. I'm still feeling all of that energy. So I hope that you had carried that throughout your week. If you are in the house, say hello to me. Let me know that you are in here. I'm going to go and let me see, just drop a wave, a shout, something to me so that I know that I'm not in here by myself. You guys don't have me in here by myself. Okay, so while you're going ahead and putting your comments in, hey, Shy, how are you? How have your week been? I've heard some good things that you got going on this past week. We missed you on last Monday, but I'm glad that you were building your business, building your own empire. Awesome. So let's go ahead and get started. Positivity. What is that? I know that a lot of people have, when they think about positivity and self-talk, and they think it's kind of like this kind of fad, this kind of trend where you're supposed to be fake. Now, I've heard that term a lot, that, I can't be fake. All I can do is be me. I got to be real. I got to, if I don't feel like it, I don't feel like it. If I feel sad, I'm sad. If I don't. And so they think that positivity is being fake. You're not being authentic, being your authentic self. Well, I want to challenge that thought, because it is my personal belief that we are made to be positive. We are made to be always moving into that that area of us that helps us to thrive, and that we are put into each other's lives to help each other thrive. And so sometimes you're not always going to feel what is real, meaning that just because you don't feel happy doesn't mean you can't be happy. Just because you don't feel a certain way, that's part of human nature, is uh, operating in those senses, what we can feel, touch, smell. We got those five senses. And the thing is I'm always going to say this, that we are created to dominate. And it is the charge is for us to dominate every single aspect of our lives. And that includes our emotions. That includes our actual affect, and how we're going to present things, how we're going to approach things. That is our job. We've been given that task. No one can make us upset. No one can make us feel sad. That we dominate, right? That's how we were created. We were created to dominate. And so positivity is a choice. It's just a choice. And you have to choose to be positive. You have to choose to see the glass half full instead of seeing the glass half empty. And so today, we are going to be discussing a certain approach. Last week, we talked about how sometimes I was not as aware of people who come from adverse backgrounds, or backgrounds that are just really impoverished, and they don't see a lot of positivity. They don't see people winning. They don't see Black entrepreneurs, Black millionaires. They don't see themselves, a reflection of themselves, in the positive light. And so the question is, okay, so how do you pull yourself up? How do you thrive when everything around you is dying? How do you live? And so I do have a special guest today who practices the solution focused approach to everything in her life. And she is going to be joining us later on in real shortly. But first, I just wanted to talk to everyone that's in today and see how everybody else is doing. Okay. So if you're just now coming in, I am Amari Lee. I am the life coach on my Mending Monday, and I'm hoping to give you some ammunition to carry you throughout the rest of the week. Now, the new thing, so the new thing is, if you look inside of the comments, I have added a link. So if you are throughout this conversation, or if you're watching the replay and you say, you know what, I think I need to have a conversation with Omara, it is now right there. If you look into your comments, it's right there. It's bit.ly book Omara. You can actually click that button. It is live. It will take you directly to my website, where you can go ahead and book that 30-minute consultation. My schedule is getting completely hectic, which is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. But so if you want to, and you find yourself in that need of having a little bit extra, or needing a little bit extra, go ahead and click that link. Awesome. So, hey, Maji. So, Shy, you got a new job. Awesome. Okay. So is it in the same city, or are you traveling, or do you get to work from home? Man, everyone who gets to work from home, man, especially if you don't have little ones, that's going to be pulling and tugging. That's a good thing right there. You get to just kind of come downstairs and put on a nice blouse and get the work done. That's cool. But for you guys that's still out there in them streets, my prayers go out to you, stay safe. All right. So without any more hesitation, let me see, not hesitation, but delay. I'm sorry. I'm using words that don't even make sense today. All right, so let's see here. How's your week going, Samaje? Mm-mm-mm-mm. I need you guys to talk to me today. You guys are making me feel like I'm in here by myself. I know I'm not because I can see that I have viewers. You guys come on in and say hello to me. Hey, Miss Donna, how are you? You guys down? So this is what she says to me. She says, "Hello, beautiful." But why does she still look like she's like 40 years old? So she is the one. She is definitely the one. It's like I don't think she ages at all. But hello, hello. It's always a pleasure to have you in the house. Um, so let's see. Hey, Meryl, how you doing today? So how's your Monday? How's your Monday going? Work in the schools now, so you help out special assistants. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, that's those special skills. Whoo, you gotta have special skills to do that one. All right. Well, I'm so glad that you were able to join us this Monday. Okay. So, without any more delay, I am going to bring in our special guest, our host, Miss Ashlee Frazier. And so will you guys like put your hands clap as we go ahead and let her come into the room? This is like the little hand clap that looks like this. Well, that's the prayer. So do the one that goes like this. All right. I need to get some music to go ahead and bring her in. Hello, Miss Ashlee. How are you today?
I'm pretty good, pretty good. How are you?
All right. I am doing absolutely wonderful. I am still kind of I guess still basking in the positive glow. And so I have actually made it my my personal mission to stay in this flow. So we're gonna see how long I can how long I can just I mean, you know, you gotta work at it, but I want to see how long I can stay just in seeing everything half full, if not just all the way full, you know, and just kind of rocking that throughout the whole week. So you guys, so I am introducing Ashlee. She is a student. So the way I met her is very interesting because our children are on the same track team together. And we would just have these little conversations. And I never knew that she was into mental health, like I was into mental health. And we began having this little conversation. And then we just didn't see each other anymore. And then she just like popped up one time. We were like just talking. And now it's funny how you can know someone or be around somebody and never know the fullness of a person. And in talking and speaking with her and the conversations that we had, I was like, wow, I love her. I love the way she thinks, the way she flows, just the way she operates. And so if nothing else that it has taught me is to be more mindful of about the people that's in my life. Be more mindful about, because this woman is awesome. Her energy, everything is always positive vibes. And you guys are going to love her. So Ashlee, talk to us about the approach of having solution focus.
First of all, I wanted to acknowledge what you said too. I think that you give an amazing energy off as well. And I think that's why we connected as well in those situations. Solution focused is my choice because the one that I like the most because I like results, you know. I'm one of those people that like to multitask. I'm very goal oriented. So I feel better when I feel like there's like a quicker solution to kind of get to where I want to go versus a longer outcome. And solution focused focuses more on the current and the future versus all the things that happened in the past.
Okay.
So that you can start making current small decisions that help you get to a goal that you have that's short term and then eventually turns into long term. It's building those skills to understand your growth. And then that can go into a lot of different things.
Okay, so now that's like right there in my wheelhouse. It's like it stimulates into, I mean, I know that everybody's like, yes. So finally solutions that are
Right.
going to be able to, like you said, build on them, and they can
Mhm.
take you further. And so is this a mindset, or is it does it come with its own set of tools, or what exactly, how would you describe having that type of mindset?
I think it's both. I think it because there are solutions, there are different modalities like um, cognitive behavioral therapy that also use, and they use different parts of solution focused therapy in their tools of addressing certain things. So I think a lot of different areas use focused solution therapy, um, but it's just really about understanding where you're at, and like we've touched on before, or you've touched on before in here about reactions and responses, and those types of things. And then I think a lot of people don't realize their perspectives that they're putting off, or the energy that they're putting off, and then adjusting those things. So it can go for things like domestic violence. It could be for like family dysfunction. It could be for behaviors with children. There's a lot of range of things that it can go for. Um,
Okay. Okay. So then, like, so in with my viewers, that we talk about like everyday real life situations, things that they're going through within at their workplace, with their spouses, with their children, just trying to live that everyday lifestyle. And I know that a lot of times, even with my clients, feeling like they've hit a wall, they've tried everything, and um and when they come into my Mending Mondays and we're discussing, sometimes they're like, that doesn't work. I tried that. That doesn't, so if you have, let's say you have an individual that's like that, that's like, I've tried that. I've okay, so yeah, I did that and it didn't work. What would you say to an individual like that who feels like they've tried it all?
it's creating those epiphany moments.
Okay.
So even though they might say, "Oh, I've tried this," I would say, "Okay, well, can you explain to me how it went?
Ah,
Let's start from there. How did it go? What were the things that were said? What were the things that were felt? And then how did that person receive your energy from what you saw in the actions afterwards?" And then it gives them an opportunity to be like, maybe it's my delivery.
mm,
Maybe I need to understand the antecedent behind my responses or my reactions, so that I can have responses instead of reactions, because reactions are emotional responses, right? It's
right.
it's backed up by emotions. So understanding how to be poised and think through your thoughts before you react or respond to anything, just having those understandings, and then also putting yourself at a like a standstill to be able to understand someone else's perspective of how they might be receiving your energy.
Okay. So then we're almost like slowing the reel down. So, you like, go back to the footage. So you have a situation and it seems like it's not working.
Mm.
And or let's just say there's a conflict, a work conflict, and you're trying to get along with this person and it's just not working. No matter what happens, you always end up like this, or even
Mhm.
a relative that you just always end up like this and you don't understand why it's not working. Then you say, okay, let's go back. So that introspection, going back and looking at it again. Let's look at it now without being attached to the emotions. Kind of like we've discussed this, stepping outside of yourself so that you
Right.
can actually just look at it. Now let's just look at what was actually said, not what you heard,
Mhm.
but what was actually said, not what you intended to say, but
Mhm.
what you actually said, and then being able to look at that and say, okay, so do you think you could have tweaked that? What if you had said it this way? Or what if you had done it this way? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so you can also use role playing in there, right?
Okay.
So if there's a situation with like a coworker, a friend, a spouse, you can have that role play in your session so that you can understand a possible reaction or a response, so
Mhm.
that you can kind of go over scenarios and then the way that you receive them. So from the part where you're starting now, not necessarily before, but what you can do from here on out to the future, right? Because we're not counting our tallies and the things that we did before, but how can we start from here to and go into the future to find out what we can do to make those things better. And I
Okay.
think that thought process sort of eliminates the pessimistic views of the situation at hand, right? Because you're not focusing so much on what happened before, but what you can do now.
Okay. So in that process, are we talking about like literally taking the negativity from what it is that happened in the event and just kind of leaving it there
Mhm.
and then looking at it again with fresh eyes?
Right. So,
That,
for example, right? So,
mhm,
say if you had a couple and the wife is trying to maybe feel appreciated in some way, and she's cooking dinner, and then she asked her husband to do something, and he didn't screw the soda bottle top on right.
mhm,
And then he might feel like, because this is something that comes up often, I'm sure you hear in couples, is I feel like I'm never doing anything right.
right. Mhm.
And then it's understanding that phrase. So sometimes we don't have to necessarily nitpick on the little things, because there's so many other things that your spouse does correctly that you appreciate. So it's watering that energy and then taking attention so much off of the negative, because that negative, you can build it into a mountain. It could be this big, you know? So
Mhm.
it's just learning how to have those approaches on different ways to appreciate the moments and the person and the people around you versus the minute problem to kind of rearrange that.
Ah, okay. I love it. Okay. So if you are just coming in, we're discussing the solution focused approach to your problems. I know that a lot of times we feel like the walls are kind of caving in on us. We're kind of like, okay, I'm pulling at straws, and every time I pull one out, it's a short one. And so we want to give up. We want to give up on the relationship. We want to give up on the person. We want to give up on whatever the job, because we feel like we've kind of done all that we can do. And what I want to kind of not necessarily turn, but just kind of merge into is that mindset of
Uh-huh.
positivity or solution focus, like blending those two together, because is I know it's a mindset.
Mhm.
So we're talking being able to now, before a couple of weeks ago, I do believe I mentioned that book, um, where's the gift?
Mhm.
Find the gift in everything. That even though it's kind of like pulling out the positive, aspects of a situation, and
Right.
then allowing yourself to focus on the positive, like you said, watering that positive energy, watering that positivity, focus on that part of it that will then open your mind to be able to find more solutions. It's kind of like seeing yourself winning. Okay, well, this was good. Instead of saying this didn't work again, we're not talking again, kind of feeding, like you said, the negative energy.
Right.
Because that's going to make you, it's going to kind of cut off those solutions that's there, but it kind of cuts it off, it kind of snuffs it out because of all the negativity that it won't work anyway.
Right. You eliminate that always and never perspectives.
Mm,
And then you create an energy to have that space to grow.
awesome. Okay, so we want to hear from you guys. How does that sound? Does that sound like an impossibility? Does it sound like something that's kind of out there in the la la land, but it's not really something that can be effective in real life. I know that, let me see. Okay, so Teray said that role playing is also good to determine how others receive what you say or do. Now, I love role play, especially when I'm working with couples. I love it. I love it. I love it. Because it's a free space. It's a safe space to be vulnerable. It's almost like, how some people love Halloween because they get to dress up and be somebody else for a moment. In role playing, I love it because you get to kind of say what you want to say in a safe space. That, okay, I'm going to say it, get it all out of me now. And then we can go ahead and correct it, so I can just come out and be like, you're stupid. But you can correct it, and then by the time I'm really in that situation, I can just say, I don't understand what you're saying. It comes out a lot better. So I love that as well. So have you found that role playing is something that, hey Mo, has been effective with solution focus?
Oh, absolutely. I think with kids, with adults, it just works because they're in a situation that they can see past their, like, it's not in the moment, right? So it's now practicing a situation with someone else and then going over, okay, so what happened here? Why do you think this response was given? Why do you think this reaction was given? What can we do to reduce those feelings of anxiety when this was said, or maybe triggered you? Why does this trigger you? How can we get to the next step to where you respond the way that you want to without that anxiety? So it's just, laying out a map, like a floor plan to develop those skills.
Right. Now, I wanted to also talk about, as we're talking about role playing, I used to always have I still do it. I have many conversations with myself. And before, years ago, it was always to prepare for the best comeback. So if I say this, then they gonna say this, and I wish she would say that, because if she say that, I'm gonna remind her of 1997 when she did the. So it's similar to that, right? It's similar to that, but it's more positive energy. It's saying, okay, I know this person that I'm dealing with, and if this person responds in this way, what is the most effective response that I can give where we both still win, right?
Right.
What is the most effective way to handle this? And so it kind of gives you the opportunity to cope ahead, to go ahead and figure it out, right?
And then also learning the ability to say, you know what? I need a minute. I love you. I respect you. I want to be able to respond in a way that's respectful, and that I'm still getting what I want to, for you to understand across. So in order to do that, I'm going to need a few minutes, but I will get back to you. So learning how to calm your spirit so that you can have those healthy communication skills, I think is also very, very important. Because I think as long as somebody feels acknowledged in that, they have the opportunity to continue to be vulnerable, even in tough conversations.
Right. So what would you say is the hardest or the biggest roadblock to someone who's trying to practice a solution-focused mindset? What would you say would be like the biggest roadblock? They're like, nah.
I think it really just kind of boils down to getting them out of that pessimistic view of thinking, because they might be in that panic mode. I call it like alarms, right? Where you're so focused on what the negative things that are happening that you're like, oh yeah, I know I'm here, but all these negative things are happening. All these negative things are happening. And you're like, hey, okay, I'm here. We have this conversation. We're here to have this conversation. So let's calm that down. Let's get to baseline so that you can start to receive my energy in yourself to apply it to your life so that you no longer have these alarms, right?
Okay.
These are things that I've practiced, within my own family. Like, there's triggering things that people do. And like I've done it. Like I just, for someone that hasn't received it for me, like I've set off a car alarm, right? Over and over again. Someone will run out. Oh my goodness, the car alarm's going off. Is it going to do anything? No, you just push a button and turn it off, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's learning those skills to learn how to calm yourself down, because the things are going to get resolved, but let's resolve them well without that panic.
Okay. All right. So what do you guys think? If you guys are still with us, give us some thumbs up. Give us your feedback. What are you thinking with this? What would you say is your biggest roadblock to being able to see a solution focus? Maybe it's your past. Maybe it's the past patterns of a person that this always happens and they never listen. Ashlee was saying that getting rid of that always and never mentality, that, because tomorrow's always a new day. We discussed this before, that now is 3 to 5 seconds. So the way a person is now, they can be somebody entirely different the next 3 to 5 seconds, the next 3 to 5 seconds. So as time goes by, people literally can change. Their mindsets can change as time goes by. So what would you say, and I'm talking to you guys now, what would be your main roadblock or what is one of your main roadblocks that keep you from being more solution focused, that keeps you going back to that same behavior or that same mindset? Because it is a mindset. It's something that you have to choose to see. You guys, let us know what's the struggle. And while you guys are doing that, I know it takes some time to type these things in. I just wanted to just speak with you, Ashlee, that a lot of times, I know in the past, for me, it was the fear of being let down again.
Right.
It is that oh my God, well, if I do this, I want to have hope, that this is going to happen. I want to believe that this is going to happen, but man, I put myself out there to hope again. So, okay, I'm going to try, but the fear of it not working, what used to be my roadblock, was, okay, it's not. And I realize now that what I was doing is not giving that person the ability to change. Mm-hmm. That I always want people to say, well, I give me a chance. Let me try. You didn't let me try again, but when I had that fear of being let down, that fear of it not working again because of the past pattern, right, I realized I was doing the same thing to the people that was closest to me, not giving them the opportunity to have human error. So Therese has commented, and he says he thinks his biggest roadblock is determining if the person is worth the investment.
Absolutely.
So what do you say to that?
Relate to that. Because, when you have things that don't work out and you get disappointed or you feel betrayed or those things start to happen and you build those walls from situational events in your life, it's almost like trying to go off the diving board, right? You want to stick your toe in, you want to do different things like that. But you have to understand that at some point, things come up. Everybody lets you down at some point, not purposefully. Everybody, in your life, in your relationships, there's going to be things where you're like, I didn't like that too much. Or, that hurt my feelings. This is part of living. But the important part is to ask questions that are well questions to ask. I've known in my past relationships to understand someone, and instead of turn that energy that I felt into to letting it fester into hurt, to asking, well, why did you make this decision? Why was this your response? Help me understand why this response was your response, so that I understand why you thought it was okay to do that. And sometimes that's intimidating, right? But it also opens up the other person's eyes to be like, oh, I didn't realize that I was reacting instead of responding, or I had a situation, or like they had a situation with them, or a trauma with them, that made them respond in a way to you that was unrelated to you. And I think one of the things that I really try to allow people to understand is that not everything is a lesson for them, right? There might be something that happens in a connection with you and someone else, and it might be a lesson for them to grow, for them to have some sort of healing or an awakening, for them to grow. And it doesn't necessarily need to fester into hurt from you.
So putting yourself in the learning, and as the student as well, and not always the teacher, allowing yourself to see it from a different perspective. And I totally agree with that. When you're trying to find out if someone is worth investing the time and the energy in, if you look at it in the sense that maybe you're actually investing in yourself by putting the energy in, because it may not be, we do kind of think that way sometimes, that it's what I'm doing, but forgetting that iron sharpening the other, we sharpen each other. And so it's like, instead of seeing it as investing in this relationship, seeing it as investing in yourself.
Because oftentimes we don't see that it's good to put up boundaries, healthy boundaries. But sometimes when those boundaries are put up in fear, it's more of a defense mechanism than a respectful boundary. So understanding those things. And there was something that someone said, always hearing the same thing, I'm sorry, and it gets steadily repeated. So to address that cycle, right, you have to put a halt to it. You have to ask, you have, what's going on here? And to interrupt a cycle, you do have to make a change. There's someone has to step in to make a change for that cycle to not repeat. So it's being able to calm down a little bit and say, you know what, why is this reoccurring? I notice this is a reoccurring pattern. If I'm important to you and you're important to me, how can we fix this? How can I support you? How can you support me?
I like it. So basically the repetition of the event is feeding off of each other. So you get mad and I get mad, and you get mad and I get mad. You point fingers, I point fingers. So it's kind of like this cycle, I know that a lot of times people get comfortable in an uncomfortable situation, where they're constantly, they don't like the situation, but it's become their normalcy, it's a negative normalcy. And so if it's something that's repeating itself over and over and over again, then somebody has to break the cycle. So then how would you do that if you are in a I guess people call it toxic. If you're in a toxic relationship, and it's something that is just constantly going on and on and on and on and on and on, how do you break that? Let's just say you're with the argumentative spouse, and it's always an argument about something. Like, how do you break that?
I mean, it's a team effort, right? Not everything is always 50-50. I think we all know this. Oh, maybe we don't. But like sometimes, there will be 40-60, sometimes it's 90-10. It varies in different situations, right? The amount of energy that you put into things. But it's also, you have to be aware that if the other person is putting in that energy as well, are they attempting to put in energy, or do they just are they just at the point where they're receiving from you? Did they stop? You know, did they say, I'm no longer willing to give you my energy, but I like yours? Or I love yours, or I need yours, but I'm not willing to give you anymore. I think that's knowing the difference between like, hey, this ain't really for me anymore. Like, you know, when you address those things and those things don't change, sometimes we have to make changes within ourselves, you know, and sometimes relationships are not forever. Sometimes our friendships are not forever. But being able to learn from those things, to grow, to be better people within ourselves is what's important, right?
Okay. All right. So there's a question here, and I'm going to ask Mo to formulate one statement, if you can. So I'm reading it, and all the viewers, you guys can see it in the comments. I'm going to try to summarize it. So I'm thinking that what her roadblock, what she's stating, is that it's a fear of disappointment and rejection, and not allowing herself to have options. Right. So if we're looking at that, you know, fear of disappointment, you know, that was something that I had discussed, you know, just the fear of being vulnerable, of putting that hope out there, and then you're being disappointed again. I do believe that your response to that was that that's part of life, you know, is being disappointed. You know, everyone is not going to. It's kind of like, you know, from the time you're a child, you don't always get what you want, you know, so disappointment is a big part of life. But that fear of it is something different, you know, because that fear is the thing that can kind of get us stuck where we're like, I don't even want to try again. You know, so then the solutions, and I think that's what she was alluding to when she said, realizing that she has options, but when she feels that pressure and she runs into that roadblock, that the options are kind of not there, that she's not allowing herself to have the options because of the fear. Now, I hope I did a good job at that, Mo. If I didn't, shoot something else to me. But so having that fear of disappointment or rejection, because of, like she said, the mindset of whatever is being discussed or whatever the situation she finds herself in, that fear comes up, and then she forgets about our options. So if that's the case, and we're trying to be solution focused, how do you move from the fear, which can be sometimes debilitating, and then move it into, okay, now let me focus on solutions? Is that something that can't be done in the midst of the fear, or is there a way to work out, you know, kind of work yourself out of that fear?
So I think setting goals is important, right? Okay. So in part of your goal setting, it could be, when I feel this, I can ask for a moment, right? You can say, I need a moment, or say that you need a moment. I need a moment to gather my thoughts so that I can get back to you respectfully. And then that's the time where you can have to self-reflect a little bit, and understand what's going on within yourself. Yes, this upset me. Why did this upset me? And then how can I verbalize that in a way that the person that I'm talking to or having this altercation with can understand my feelings, to respond to me in a well way. So I think it addresses even those like healthy boundaries versus like your fears, right? So you can say, in a situation, you can say, you know what, I don't feel vulnerable yet in this way to allow myself to do this, because of this made me feel this way, you know, or the way that you respond this way makes me shut down. So is there another way that we can communicate, or something like that, like, you know, along the lines of addressing things in a different manner so that vulnerability still exists or it's created? Because communication, I think, is the key to everything. You have to be able to be willing to communicate to a certain extent.
Okay. So what we're when we're looking at is, or what it is that you're describing is called the when you I statements.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do this, I feel this.
Right.
So this is a safe way of communicating, um, communicating that I need time, because right now I am afraid to be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be because I don't want to be rejected. I don't want to be disappointed. And so this fear came up because, and it's not to take the responsibility or the onus from ourselves and put it on someone else. But what we're doing is we're using a healthy statement to say, when you tell me you're going to be on time, or when you set, like, let's just say it's a date between two people, and when you make a date with me, but then you don't call me and say, hey, I'm going to be late, or you don't call and say you can't make it, then
Mm-hmm.
I feel dot 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 dot. And
Right.
then this makes me not trust you, or makes me not want to be open to you, because me being vulnerable is difficult for me in this relationship already. So what you're doing is you're kind of like just putting it out there to say, this is the situation. It's not saying it's your fault that I feel this way. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying that your actions trigger me in this way. So when you do this, I feel.
Right.
So
And then it opens up that dialogue, right? For
absolutely.
them to be able to look at it from a perspective and say, oh, I didn't mean to make you feel that way. Um, so maybe next time, if I'm going to be running late, I will let you know. And then you disrupt that pattern, right?
Mhm.
But you have to be willing to calm yourself to be able to verbalize your needs
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
that growth to occur.
So this question kind of goes along with what we're discussing now. She says, does changing yourself make you lose you? And this is something that I'm going to give you a little bit more on this question before you answer, Ashlee.
Mhm.
That a lot of times, I know that this is a common one that I hear very often, that we want the, and I say we just in generality, that we want the situation to change,
Mhm.
but we don't want to change within the situation. So, it's kind of like, what's insanity? Is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. Well, if you're a factor or key elements in an equation,
Mhm.
and you want the result to be different, then the key factors are eventually going to have to change. I just answered the question for you. Oh my God. Okay, Ashlee. So what do you think?
So I think that's learning to be accountable for yourself, right? Because in truth, there's your truth, there's my truth, and then what actually happens.
Mhm.
Because everybody has feelings in the situation. So your perspectives of the situation are different than what the reality is on both sides. Um, in marriages and divorces and friendships and all those things. So being able to address the things in you, if you don't, you're stagnant. If you're not willing to, if you're pointing your finger at someone, you have three pointing back at you, right?
Right.
So it's being able to address the things in yourself and learning to self reflect. I don't think that creates losing yourself. I think losing yourself is continuously feeding negative energy without addressing your needs. Uh,
Okay. Expand on that.
so sometimes you might have a toxic relationship, a friendship, a spouse, or whatever have you, and their needs might be very loud, very toxic, and then you're constantly on your toes, like, oh, I don't want to disappoint, I don't want to disappoint. But guess what? That person is not the only one in there.
Okay.
You are also, and you are valued, you are supposed to be appreciated, you're supposed to be a partner, a team, right?
Mhm.
Like I had a conversation about this the other day with some of my friends and their relationship, and they said, they made a post about it too. It was like, it wasn't, this is my soulmate. They fight, they argue, but I am her and she is me. We're a team. So no matter what, our purpose is to reflect together and learn how we can sharpen each other and grow together. So it's not a one-sided thing.
Mhm. Right, right. So in order, if I can piggyback off of what you're saying,
Mhm.
that in order to sometimes losing yourself is not necessarily a bad thing if it stimulates growth,
Right.
right? You
Yourself
know,
in that moment was upset and hurt and broken. Then losing that is okay.
right,
You know.
right. Losing that is okay, right? So sometimes um I know that we want to be accepted as we are.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, we're not always willing to accept others as they are. You
Hmm.
know, it's kind of one way. It's like, okay, well, I just want, because we sometimes see our issues as less adverse than the other person's issue, or we see that what we do is not as irritating as what they do, but it's because it's ours. So of course,
Right.
what does my tapping my foot do? I mean, how is that so irritating? But if they tap a pencil, we lose it, right? So it's really about, like you said, a team. And I like that, just in whatever the situation is a team. And when you see it as a team, rather it's a coworker, rather it's a spouse, rather it's a relative, that we all are kind of working this thing called life together, then even piggybacking on what Therese said earlier about, is this worth the investment? That if we're all in this thing and we're trying to move through this thing together, then okay, lose a little bit of yourself, gain a little bit of someone else. It's kind of like this give and take. It's like this dance that we just kind of going through this dance together. And
Hmm.
so, and I'm talking to myself as well about a current thing I got going on up in here. But just that it's kind of like this dance that we're doing throughout life. And I wanted to put up this other statement that Teray made that said healthy boundaries are a requirement.
Right.
How do you tell the difference between a healthy boundary um, guarding purpose versus a boundary based on insulating fear? Okay, so I'm going to summarize that. So basically, if it's a healthy boundary that's
Hmm.
guarding your goal, what it is that you're supposed to be doing, so you got to put these boundaries that say, okay, this is enough. This is I've given. I've kind of tried to bend. I've been flexible. All right. Me bending anymore, and kind of what Jeanette was saying as far as like losing her, your essence of your purpose of what it is that you need to do. I'm losing too much of that trying to make this relationship work. So now I got to put up a healthy boundary
Hmm.
opposed to I'm putting up these walls because of fear. I'm like, nah, no, no, no. So the question is, how do you tell the difference between the two?
Um, because you feel that heavy strain, right? If it's continuous and you feel that heavy strain, you can't fit a triangle into a circle. It's not gonna go in there.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to figure out, okay, so maybe I'm not supposed to have you as close as you want me to have you in your life. Um, because you also sometimes loving someone isn't always comfortable, right? So that's allowing them to have the space to grow themselves as well. We're not Everybody isn't for us to put on a bag and piggyback on us. Sometimes we can try, and you realize, hey, this isn't it. You know, uh, I appreciate these aspects of you. I appreciate our time. Uh, Maybe you have to dismiss that person in your life, or maybe it's, oh, I appreciate this. There are some things in here that I can continue to appreciate, or you can appreciate from me at a healthy rate, or a boundary, whatever that relationship is, a friendship or whatever, an acquaintance. But learning how to set those limits. because you can't set, one of the quotes that I liked that I saw recently is, you can't set yourself on fire trying to give somebody else light, right? So you can't be so self-destructive by trying to give someone so much energy when they're not receiving. It's like your spouse, right? If they're telling you, "Hey, I want this bowl of fruit. All I want is fruit," and you're slaving away all day baking them cakes, and then you come home sweaty, like, "I made this cake for you. Why can't you appreciate it?" They're not asking you for that.
Right.
You know? So it's learning how to understand, like, and then be in tune with people to understand, like, maybe that's not it. Maybe there's a mark being missed somewhere where that's not what it is.
Okay. Yeah. And being able to have that healthy, being able to differentiate between the two,
Mhm.
when it's healthy and when it's fear, and like you said, you feel that weight, you feel that pressure, we know when that body scan, we have beat that into the ground, body scanning and understanding what you're feeling when you're feeling it,
Right.
that will usually be the telltale sign is, okay, I'm afraid. So I'm just gonna, and even sometimes we can have that go-to
Mhm.
wall that we put up before we even really acknowledge that all this stuff is happening in our bodies, because it's our go-to. When we
Right.
see this particular thing, boom, that's a wall. Okay, go this way, don't go that way, that's a wall. So to know the difference between that is um is I do believe that when you're doing a healthy boundary, that you are adding um into that healthy language.
Right.
The
And
way
understanding too what you're afraid of.
Mhm,
So ask yourself, what am I afraid of losing? What am I afraid of gaining? And being able to address those things. Are you afraid of being alone? Are
mhm,
you afraid of losing the friendship because of a reason? Are you afraid of that growth of the unknown? And when you address those issues, it helps you realize the things that, is it, oh, I was afraid to grow? Would this be healthier if I made the decision to make some adjustments, even though it might be scary? So understanding those things and that ability to just be like self-reflect and be accountable in yourself, in your movements.
mhm, mhm. And I think, well, it's my belief that knowing a healthy anything
Mhm.
as far as emotions and those type of things, um, are always going to be determined by how healthy your emotional IQ is. To have that high emotional IQ is to know yourself, know what you feel when you feel it, why you're feeling it, being open enough to evaluate that, being open enough to actually say, okay, let me check my emotion, let me check and see why I feel what I feel. And a lot of people, that is a roadblock for them because of rejection, or because of um, I know a lot of people have been raised in an environment where they feel that um, that their voice was never heard.
Mhm.
So, in situations where the voice was taken as a child, now it makes them it's very difficult for them to have a positive emotional IQ, because they don't do a lot of introspection, because they grew up believing that whatever they did feel is irrelevant, whatever they think is irrelevant. So in order to say make it a healthy boundary,
Mhm.
I would say make sure that you have a healthy soul. Make
Right.
sure your emotions are healthy. Make sure that your intellect is healthy. Make sure that's the only way you can differentiate between healthy and not healthy. Because if you're not healthy emotionally, there's no way for you to tell, because what you see, it's all blurred. It's all
Right.
like,
Because when you're not healthy, right? And then you're in that like panic state of I need. You're not in a place to where you give the energy that's needed for that person. And then you're also not able to give the energy that you might give in a healthy way, because you're still in the state of need. You're
Mhm.
feeling a void.
Right, right. When you're still in that I state, it's hard to see we, you know,
Mm-hmm.
when you're still in the I state. Um, well, if this has been helpful, we are coming to the end of tonight's broadcast. If this has been helpful, um, and you are just coming in to the replay and you've been watching, this has been our special guest, Ashlee Frazier, and she is practicing and has been discussing with us the solution focused approach. And I would love to continue this conversation. Would you be willing to come back, Ashlee, and kind of really, really dive into this? This was pretty a topical view of it. I would really like to go deep into what solution focus really is, what it actually looks like, and just kind um, of diving into some real life experiences and
Right.
saying, okay, how would you handle this? Because I would love to be able to do some steps on how to really dig yourself out of that negative mindset and get into that positive mindset, into that solution focused mindset where everything that you're doing is to solve the problem, to be the solution in a scenario, in a situation. So if you guys have any questions and you want to just drop them in the comments, I will pass them on to Ashlee. And I know that she would love to respond to you. Ashlee, moving forward, what are you doing now as far as your schooling, and where is the solution focus approach? Where is it going?
Oh, well, that's kind of a conversation, but right now I'm finishing up my master's. I'm in my last semester. There's a whole lot that I want to do in the world of psychology and group homes, and just opening up the eyes of, cultural differences, and bringing uh, that view to and knowledge to other communities that oftentimes think that it's not a good thing, or it's looked at as something that's negative, and just change that whole aspect of, actually, this is something healthy. Let's focus on that to see how we can change that mindset to become better people, to become better people in ourselves, so that we can reshape our communities in a healthy way.
Okay, awesome. Well, I wish you all the best in your schooling and in your goals, all your endeavors. I know you're going to be awesome, and I really look forward to. I can see us working together so in the near future, and kind of putting some things together. And so, from my Mending Monday, from our community to you, we want to say thank you for being on the show. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, your ideas with us. And we will definitely reach out to you again. This has been great. Again, if you have any questions and you want to shoot them, just put them in the comment. I will make sure that Ashlee gets them. And if you want to be a guest on our future show, just drop in the comments, say, hey, Omar, I would love to come on, share some things with the community as well, for, some things that you're thinking on, some things that you're working on. And I would love to have you. So until next week, guys, make this week a good week. And let's make, there we go. Good, 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 good. I love it. I love it. I love it. Great job, Ashlee. So I will see everyone next Monday, right back in the same place. Again, thank you so much, Ashlee, for coming on. And I'll see everyone next week. All right. Bye-bye, guys.